The only thing I will say is, one, we've heard about why they stopped him, but there's not really full like details out yet, or at least I haven't really looked into him. I saw that video I saw the first video of him getting arrested. Then I saw the video came out, and the guy asked him to roll down his window. He, don't bang on my window, and then they finally tell him to roll down the way. He rolls it up after whatever and rolls it down. I just think it's kind of a weird situation. I mean, it's obviously a lot, easier said than done when you're not in that situation, but, you know, kind of just be like, hey, man, I kind of like how Scotty Scheffler did it. I don't know if you guys ever watched his video, but he was kind of like, yeah, I'm a player. I didn't really know what was going on. Like, I don't know, how else he would have, better said it, but, kind of just been like, hey, I'm Tyreek Hill. I play for the Dolphins. I didn't know where, how this is. I do this all the time. I drive into these games all the time. Like, but I still think it was kind of weird. I think the police officers definitely knew who he was. There's no way that you're a cop in Miami and you don't know who Tyreek Hill is. So I definitely think that they kind of were out of line and definitely overplayed it for him being a Super Bowl champion at one point, and such big news that he got there. Maybe they're playing against him in fantasy, and they were trying to secure a win that week. But I think it was kind of blown out of proportion by the police officers because, again, I think that you know who Tyreek Hill is. You didn't need to act that way. But it also comes down to it where it's like, hey, man, I'm just trying to get to the game, like trying to get to my locker to get to my game to get ready. But I definitely think that the owner, even though I know he's not the nicest guy, he should come out and say something or, talk to you have cops that work at your games. You should be talking to the chief of police and be like, why was this even a thing? I don't remember the owner's name, but I know that he's not the best guy in the world.
Yeah, for me, I can kind of relate. I've been in situations where I haven't been properly handled by the cops, so it kind of is a little deeper for me. We've all been in situations where we haven't been treated fairly. From my knowledge, they said he was going over the speed limit, going over 60 or something like that, and he didn't have a seatbelt on. Okay, but still, it comes down to the end of the day, the cops. Obviously, the cop didn't handle what he's supposed to do properly because he's on administrative leave, and then it leads to the video where the officers had their knee on his back, which is totally uncalled for.
Yeah,
it could have just the situation.
He clearly wasn't resisting.
Yeah, the situation totally could have different. Say something happens to Tyreek Hill, whether that's Tyreek Hill is a famous person or he just a regular guy like us. The situation it never needs to progress to that level. So there has to be like Tyreek Hill. We have to make some change when it comes to law enforcement dealing with the public. Because this stuff happens all the time, and it could have been a lot more worse. And like Reed said, they definitely knew who Tyreek Hill was. There's no reason in the world he didn't know who he was. He could have figured the situation out and de-escalated, especially when you have his teammates there, like a Calais Campbell, even though Dell was there. So I think the Miami Police Department is going to face a huge backlash, and there's going to be some things because we've talked about this before, from the George Floyd thing to all the other stuff that's happening with the police brutality. You don't want a situation where it escalates to get further. Like I said, we need to handle it in the nicest way I can say is it needs to be handled much better. We need to have conversations and we need to have training. We need to have things done because at the end of the day, the cop has the weapon. He at that time and since he has control of not only your freedom but your life. He has a gun. He has a taser. He has all these things. Unless Tyreek Hill had a gun on him or a knife, which I highly doubt he had any type of weapon. There was no reason for it to get that physical and lead to that kind of thing. So you got to kind of raise awareness for these kind of things. We got to be better with this, man. We have to.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I agree. The fact that situation escalated to that over a speeding ticket, like issue the guy a citation and move forward, move on. Just the fact that he's on the ground on his stomach with a knee in his back, using cuffs. The cop came over there and shoved him down to the ground. It was just too much. Just too much, man.
Again, and I'm going to go back to it. There's like Scotty Scheffler, I can understand. Those guys probably aren't watching golf, so you probably don't know who Scotty Scheffler is. Like, football is the biggest sport in this country. You know exactly who Tyreek Hill is. Even if you don't know who Tyreek Hill is, I guess it's Miami, so maybe it's a little bit different to say, but it's a guy in a Lamborghini outside of trying to get into Dolphin Stadium. Like, you know that this guy's going to the game as a player. Like, he's going into the entrance as a player. You have to use a better sense of that. And I think that, again, I think it was a little bit of power hungriness. Maybe, you know, they want to be like, oh yeah, we were the ones that did it. Like, I don't know. But at that point, it's like he's not, you know who it was when you saw him roll down his window, whether he rolled the window back up or not, like, and cops say you're not supposed to do that. It's like, is it sounding like special treatment for me to say this? You know who Tyreek Hill is. He's not going to grab a gun and try and go against 4 Miami cops. Like, you just let him roll his window up. And if he gives you his license and registration, just go run it and give him his ticket and let him go. Like, or not even give him his ticket, like, whatever you want to do. But, like, you knew who it was at that point. You don't have to take it to those extremes.
Yeah, way too much gas added to the fire of that situation. It was unnecessary.
100%.
I kept seeing something that was really funny. It was like, they're lucky that he didn't try and run because they never would have caught him. He could have just made it into the stadium by running.